We'll see you guys soon.
Oh, it is so exciting. Can you just give it up for everything that is happening in LifePoint students right now? And while you're giving it up, I have been asked, we are slammed at this service, which is amazing. People are still trying to come in. If there's any seats between you, if you can scoot towards each other, that would be so helpful. We're already in overflow. Hey, overflow, we're so glad that you're here. Scoot in so we can see what seats are available. I love that on a student takeover Sunday, there's not a seat in the house, which is awesome. It is so, so awesome. Chandler Prazak, as you saw, is going to be our new student pastor. Like Olivia said, we have been praying and searching for the right person, and we know that God's timing is perfect. So Chandler is going to start at the end of August, but he actually moved his family this past weekend because their oldest daughter is going to start kindergarten tomorrow. So I know, we're all trying to gear up for school starting tomorrow. It's crazy. So be in prayer for them as they transition here. I know that God is going to work through Chandler and do really amazing things. So let's give them a warm welcome. I think they're going to be watching online. Heather might even be here. Warm LifePoint welcome. Well, Student Takeover is absolutely my favorite Sunday of the year. It is. And it's not just because we get to showcase our students on stage or have them serve out in our first impressions. It's because it's just a look into what happens at LifePoint every single Sunday. Our students don't just serve on Student Takeover. We are not waiting for our students to grow up to become leaders. They are already leading in our church. Every week we have students leading in LifePoint Kids, in our first impressions, in our band, in every aspect of what we do. Students are already leading because we believe they're not the next generation, they're the now generation. We believe that these students are the students that are going to go into their schools, into our community, and make a difference. We are not going to wait. We're going to pour into them. We're going to disciple them. We're going to show up for them because they are the world changers. I love being a part of a church that says, not today, Satan. Satan wants nothing more than to take down this generation, but it's not going to be on our watch. We're going to pour our resources, our time, the best of our space, our leaders into our programs for our kids and our students because it means that much to us and it means that much to God. We will not give up. We will keep moving forward because we believe in our students. I absolutely love that I get a chance to stand here and talk to you guys today about what I think is the most important thing we're going to talk about all year. I believe today's message is the most important. So I'm just going to ask that you lean in, whether you're parenting or grandparents or you're here for the first time or you're a student. This is what it's all about. It's what gets me excited. It's why I keep doing what I'm doing. It's why I dream about kids ministry and student ministry. It's what I pray about every single day. I've actually had the opportunity to be a part of LifePoint for 20 years. Ugh, so crazy. It's so awesome. Nate and I got to visit Life for the first time in 2005. Nate got a really cool opportunity to actually start LifePoint's very first student ministry. And so one summer when we were in college, he came and I tagged along as his 19-year-old girlfriend, and we fell in love with LifePoint. We were like, you know what? We can't let it end over this summer. We're going to come back every single weekend and keep this student ministry program running. And after we graduated and got married, we moved to Fort Mill, and I became the children's pastor. Here's a little walk down memory lane. Clearly, I love a good costume. There's been so many incredible things that God has allowed me to be a part of, VBSs and camps and trips and life change. I wouldn't trade it for the world. There's so many fun memories, but there's one that really stands out to me. Nate and I, when we first started student ministry, took our students on a mission trip, international mission trip. We were far too young and had no idea what we were doing, so of course, we chose Tijuana, Mexico. So great, so safe. We tent camped, we did, for a whole week, no running water. We took showers by dipping buckets into these rain barrels every night. The bathroom situation was porta potties lined up over one ditch. There's probably 15 of them. So everything was going into the same place. If you know me, you know that was a stretch. I actually tied a bandana around my face, like as tight as I possibly could. I took one good deep breath, went in, did what I had to do, and got out of there. I have never been more disgusting in my entire life. None of this matters for the story, but I just felt like I needed to kind of set the stage for you. So we're in Tijuana, Mexico, and we went with this organization called Amor. Honestly, it was an amazing group of people. They partnered with local pastors to kind of identify the families who were at most need to build a home for them. And so LifePoint, we got to pair up with this single mom who had 3 kids, who'd been living in, I don't even know if you could call it a shack. No running water, just kind of making it work. And she lived on the side of this really steep hill. And so the first day, we drove up to meet her, just this most precious, faithful woman who just needed a place for she and her family. And so when we got there, we realized it was going to be kind of a challenge to build this house because it was on this hill. But our executive pastor, Gary, was with us, and he has a construction background. Nate was there too, but he was no help. So we're looking at the foundation, and they kind of start framing it out, and we start talking about what we're going to do. And I'm an okay handy person. I watch my dad fix things around the house, but like larger construction stuff I'd never really done before. So they kind of start talking to us about how we're going to mix this foundation, this concrete. Of course, we're doing it by hand. And so Gary's explaining, you got to pour the concrete in, and then you got to add the water. And I'm like, I like manual labor. I'll take the first shift. So I'm like, all right, show me what we're doing. So I'm mixing and mixing and mixing. You got to get it just right. So you're adding the water, you're adding the powder, you're adding the water, you're adding the powder. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. We're on this hillside, and I'm going. Finally, I get it to the perfect consistency, and I take this big, heavy wheelbarrow, and I wheel it over to the foundation, and I dump it out, and I'm like, that's it? That's all it's going to cover after all that work? I mean, it was like this big of a patch, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I realized 2 things right then. 1, I am not cut out for this. And 2, it's going to take a lot longer than I thought. It's going to be way harder than I thought. And in that moment, on the hillside in Tijuana, I realized something really, really important. That laying a strong foundation is the most important thing you can do. Laying a strong foundation is the most important thing you can do. It is not going to be easy. It's probably going to take a lot longer than you thought, and progress is not always evident. But it is what everything else rests on. So today, we're going to go to the New Testament. Jesus tells a story in Matthew 7 about 2 people who were building a house. And the truth is, we're all building something. You're like, I'm not building anything. You are. You're building a life. You're building a home, a family, or maybe you're a student, you're building friendships, relationships. We're all building something. The question isn't if you're building, it's what you're building on. So let's go ahead and go together to Matthew 7. If you have your Bibles, we're going to see what Jesus has to say about this. If you grew up in church, you've likely heard this story. There's songs written about it. And it's amazing because it's how he finishes his famous Sermon on the Mount. So he's given this powerful teaching, and this is what he has to say in Matthew 7, 24 through 29. This is the story of 2 builders. One was wise and the other was foolish. Verse 24. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against that house. And it fell, and great was the fall of it. And when Jesus finished these things, The crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one who had authority and not as their scribes. So this teaching is the climax of Matthew 5 through 7. Jesus has just delivered a message on anger and lust and prayer and anxiety and judging others and the golden rule, and he finishes with this, which to me means it's pretty important, right? And obviously he's not talking about them building something physically. He's talking about building a life on him. But what does that mean? What does that actually mean? You know, I love Jesus because he never holds back. He always says exactly what he means. And Jesus is saying that the difference between a life that stands and a life that falls is not just hearing what he says, it's doing it. It's living it. It's not enough to just hear it and do nothing about it. You have to make a change. You have to live a different kind of life. If you look around and your life is just like everyone else's around you and those who don't know Jesus, then it's not the life you're supposed to live. Jesus is calling us to live a radically different life, built on trust in him. And that's what I want to challenge you with today. I want you to really think about what you're building your life on. What truly is the foundation that everything else rests on? I want to encourage you today, whether you're parenting or a student or first time today, I want you to really think about how you are building your life. I want to give you 4 things that I hope will challenge you and encourage you. So let's get into it. The first one is this: your foundation determines your future. The wise man built his house on the rock. Jesus is saying that every person is building a life, like we're all building a life. But not everybody is paying attention to the foundation. Your faith, your values, your priorities, who you are, they're all resting on something. But what is it that they're resting on? Is it your success, your achievements, your job, your relationship status, who you're with, who you're not with? Well, maybe today you're kind of wondering, well, I'm not really sure what my foundation is. And I really want you to be honest with yourself. Really think about this. Because, it could be easy to say, of course, my foundation is built on Jesus. I believe this. But really evaluate. Here's how to know. Ask yourself this question. What's the thing that if it were taken away would make you feel like your whole life is falling apart? What's that thing you look to for stability, for identity, for security, and when it's shaken, you feel shaken? Is it your job? Is it the friends that you have? If you're evaluating right now, and again, be honest with yourself, and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe it isn't actually Jesus, and that's okay, there's hope. Jesus absolutely invites you to make that shift, to rebuild, to put your trust in him, because he is the only foundation that won't crack under pressure. He is the only thing that can truly hold the weight of your life. Your foundation, it's what determines your future. Is it the rock or is it the sand? And the second one, I don't like. I don't even want to have to preach about it right now, but I have to because it's true. And that is storms will come. Storms will come. Jesus says the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. I wish it wasn't part of life. I wish I could tell you that if you love Jesus, it's easy. But Jesus even tells us himself, it's not if the storm comes, it's when it comes. And it's really interesting this past year as I've been able to journey with a lot of our students and even some of my friends who've had storms in their life. When the storms come, I think it brings us back to the core question, who am I? Storms have this really crazy way of revealing who we truly are. And we all, at some point, face an identity crisis. Students especially. They ask themselves a question, who am I really? Like, what makes me valuable? What makes me lovable? Am I enough? And here's the thing, the world has no problem telling us who we are, answering these questions for us. And the world will tell you that you are your appearance, your performance, your popularity, your success, your failure, your relationships, your reputation. And what's wild is we believe them. We fall into this trap over and over and over again. And then the storms of this life, the disappointments, the breakups, the losses, the failures, they shake us. And sometimes they even take us. They lead us to a point where we're even questioning, like, who am I anymore? I don't even know who I am. But here is the hope, and I hope you hear me right now. Only Jesus can give you an identity that cannot be shaken and cannot be taken. Only Jesus. The world doesn't get to tell you that. The people around you don't get to tell you that. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest win. You are not who loves you, and you are not who left you. You are who Jesus says you are. Loved, forgiven, secure, held. And I want you to hear this today. Storms will come. They're part of life. But they do not get the final word on who you are. Jesus does. And the third thing is this. You got to build it on purpose. You have to build it on purpose. Jesus says, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice. Jesus always connects hearing his words to doing something about it. Because here's the truth, and you've heard this, no one ever drifts anywhere good. You don't drift into a strong faith. You don't drift into a healthy marriage or healthy relationships or healthy friendships or healthy habits. No, it takes intentionality. It takes daily practices to become who you really want to be. So what does this look like in this context? In the context of building your life? I know it's simple, but it absolutely is at the heart of everything. And that's, number one, having a personal relationship with Jesus. Not just hearing about him or knowing who he is, but truly waking up every day dependent on Jesus. Waking up excited to have that first conversation with him in the morning. Being excited to tell him about your day, to pray, to share with him your thoughts, your feelings, your anxiety, your worries, your anger, to get into his word and let him reveal to you who he truly is. A personal relationship with Jesus isn't something that you can just float into. It takes intentionality. It takes every day. Any relationship that you're in that is good and is healthy is because you've put time into it, because you've shown up, because you've been there. And the second one, the way you build it on purpose, is to be a part of a church, to be a part of the body that Jesus has created for all of us. He created this place for you. You know, the average American only attends church once or twice a month. And I'm not trying to guilt you in anything here. I'm trying to tell you that this place, the church, changes lives. And what's more amazing is you need the church, but the church needs you. You have gifts and talents and things that God needs to use to change the world. And when we're united together, the world is a different place. So what's holding you back from being truly here? Not just showing up on a Sunday morning, but being a part of this body. What's keeping you from committing? And I know that word is scary. Commitment is tough, but it's what it takes to make a difference. Students, I want to talk to you for a second. What does it look like for you to be involved in this Life Point Student community? And what's holding you back? I'm going to tell you, it will change your life when you have the support and the love of other students around you. I know it can be intimidating to show up somewhere new, and I know it can feel awkward. But I'm just going to ask you right now, I'm going to challenge you, show up this fall. When we launch student ministry, just show up. Keep coming. I promise you, you're going to make connections. You're going to find your people. You're going to find a place where you can be heard and seen and belong and where your life can change. And then when you feel changed and ready, you can go out into the world and make a difference. Be here. The church is where you belong. You need the church and the church needs you. You got to build it on purpose. I have families come to me all the time, broken over what their kids are going through. And my first question is always, are you a part of a community? Are your students a part of a community? And a lot of times they're not. And so I encourage them, get involved, be a part of it. That's where they will find who they truly are. Build it on purpose. And the fourth one is this: longevity builds legacy. The house didn't fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Faith is not a quick fix. Yes, when you place your faith in Jesus, you immediately have salvation for eternity. But faith is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey of making decisions every single day. And whether you realize it or not, you are building something that your kids will stand on, or your future kids, or the people around you will stand on. And parents, I know your kids don't always say it, but if they could put into words, they'd tell you, we need you to lead us in this. We need you to show us what it looks like to follow Jesus. And parents, you need to look at your kids and remind them, we are here to walk with you, and we are not giving up on you. I think we complicate this, and really it's pretty simple. I don't want to oversimplify parenting and families. Yes, it's complicated, and there are so many things that play into it. But I just want to talk about the fact that what we really need is Jesus. Jesus is what we need. And discipleship, the process of helping someone know who Jesus is and follow him, it doesn't start here at the church. It starts at home. Around the dinner table, conversations in the car to and from sports, prayers at night, walks. That's where it starts. And here's the most important thing. It's a long game, guys. It's a long game. It's not about doing it perfectly. We're not going to do it perfectly. That is not a standard we should ever try to meet. It's about doing it consistently over time. Just like mixing that concrete, one batch at a time. You sprinkle in love and grace and truth and forgiveness over and over, again and again. That's what builds a legacy. You know, I want to share a little bit of my story. I grew up in a Christian home where I knew my foundation was built on Jesus. But about 15 years ago, I got news that really turned my world upside down. It's the kind of storm you don't see coming, and when it hits, it doesn't affect just one part of your life, but your entire life. And for 10 years, I tried to sail through this storm on my own. I invited Jesus on the boat, yeah, but I never let him take the helm. I needed to have control. I needed to feel like I was doing something, like I was fixing it, like I had it all together. I let it rock me to my core. It ravaged my mind, it wore down my heart, and it affected my physical body. But here's the miracle. When everything was stripped away, when I felt like I had nothing left, when the house was completely crumbled to nothing, I looked down and my foundation was still there. Jesus was holding me. He had never let me go. When I was exhausted, he was sustaining me. When I felt so unbelievably tired and like I didn't know where else to go, he was faithful. That's why this message is so important to me, because I know what it's like to stand in the middle of a storm, to feel like you're drowning. But I also know what it's like to look down and realize that I am still standing because Jesus is holding me up. Today, in this room, there is a generation under attack. I got this amazing, incredible opportunity to go to high school camp with our students a couple of weeks ago. There was about 70 students that got to go with us, and it was the most amazing week. I have never been so tired in my life. But man, did I get to see God do some pretty awesome things. But I want to tell you, our students are in a fight. They're in a battle. I watch students deal with insecurities, eating disorders, addiction, crippling anxiety, sexual guilt, insecurities, on and on and on. And what hit me the most is that it comes down to one thing: fear. Fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of letting their parents down. Fear of the future. Fear of the unknown. And fear, when it takes root, that's when it becomes anxiety and anger and insecurity. But you know what else I realized? It's not just the students. It's their parents, families. We're all dealing with fear. Fear for your kids. Fear for your own future. Fear for your finances, for your marriage. We are all desperate for something solid. Students, I want to talk to you. The world is going to keep telling you that you are only as good as your appearance, that you're only as valuable as your performance, that you are only as loved as the attention you get, but that is sand. It will crumble every time. I know it feels like something, but it is nothing, and it will dissolve. Jesus says that you are loved because he created you. You have purpose because he called you. You are secure because he holds you. That is the rock. And parents, you need to live this too. You need to believe this. You need to recognize what is solid and what is sand. Because Jesus, he is the rock on which we stand. Parents, your kids do not need you to have all the answers. They just need to see you leaning on Jesus when you don't. I had this amazing opportunity to sit down with 3 of our students in our student ministry who each went through their own unique storm. But they were not shaken because they stand on the rock. Check this out.
Some storms, they're made to make you stronger. And God puts those storms in place. And yes, sometimes the devil has some things to do with that. But if anything, I think God had the upper hand there. About 3 years ago, my dad, he ended up going missing for a very long period of time. I think it was about 3 weeks. And what had ended up happening is that he had neurological disease called Huntington's disease, which what this disease does is it slowly kills off nerves in the brain, which can lead to, you just lose control of everything protecting that your brain can control.
Yeah.
And they found him, but they didn't find him how we wish that we did. They ended up finding him dead off the side of a road in some small town in South Carolina. It was due to suicide. But that entire time, it really tested kind of how I saw God.
Yeah.
And that entire time I was always wondering, if he was even there. And why he would even allow this to happen.
Right.
I always believed in God, but I don't know if I necessarily had a relationship with him until recently. In middle school, I didn't have a lot of friends starting out, and so it was I was trying everything to fit in with the people around me, and I kind of lost who I was a little bit. I was going through a depression, kind of.
Yeah.
I felt a lot of anxiety about what people around me thought of me. and I don't know, I just felt really alone.
Yeah.
So going to church that day was just life-changing, honestly.
When Caleb shared that
Yeah.
he had been going through the exact same, or had gone through the exact same thing.
Yeah, and like that he made it through that,
Yeah.
and God was gonna help me through it.
Yeah.
That night I prayed like for hours. And I just talked to God and gave him everything, and I hadn't prayed in I don't even know how long. I was just so distant from my faith, and like reconnecting kind of changed everything. And then I think like Honduras was where like, I don't know, everything just kind of hit me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like I want to be serious about my faith and have a real relationship with God.
So we all face storms in our life, right? Like, unfortunately, nobody gets to not ever face storms. But would you say that last year was one of your toughest storms?
I'd say it was my second toughest storm.
Okay. What was your first?
My 7th grade year in middle school, I had recently lost my grandma, and she was that mother figure for me.
Yeah.
She was like the person in my life that was like the closest to God in that sense.
Yeah.
And I was mad.
Yeah.
I was angry for him to like take this person that was so important to me.
Yeah. How did you get through it?
The next year I went to see CIWMX, and that's when I decided to like not stop being angry, but to like let God show me why he made that choice for me.
Wow. Yeah. What did the community here at Life Point do to kind of help you through that season?
So it was right around Easter time when she died, and like my life group especially, they rallied around my mom and our family. We had dinner coming to our house. We had Instacart meals, everything that we needed.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that. And were you able to kind of open up to some of your friends and leaders during that time?
Especially in middle school small groups.
Yeah.
And like going in high school, because it's not something that goes away.
Right. Yeah.
You still lost that person, it's still a hole.
Yeah.
But like going into small groups and being able to talk about it and speak freely about it too.
I hadn't gone to Life Point students that much, and then me and my sister started going around my freshman year, and I made a good group of friends that was like, it was a good community to surround myself with, and going to McDonald's after youth, like we could talk about what we had talked about at youth, and I don't know, it just gave me like a sense of like a Christian community that I had been lacking in the past.
What would you say to a student who might be going through their own storm right now to encourage them?
Invest in your God and also invest in your community. Your community is always there, and if you ever need anything, there's always going to be somebody that you can talk to. And yes, I still struggled with all this, like, God, why'd you do this, and all this stuff, but honestly, I just really tried to invest a lot of my time with the people around me and just see the brighter side of it and just see the silver lining between all of it, to where my dad's in a better place, and I can come out of this 10 times stronger or 100 times stronger than I was whenever I was going through it.
Yeah.
You're gonna go through stuff no matter what point in your life you're in, and even like when you're young, there's so much uncertainty about the future, and being able to trust in God's plan and what He has for you, it's gotten rid of a lot of my anxiety about like what I'm gonna do with my life, and just trusting that God has a plan for me and He'll pave the way.
I got baptized and devoted my life to Christ.
Yeah.
I found friends that I became really close with. I just found a lot of greater things that came out of working through all the suffering, all the pain, going through all the therapy. I think I've just gotten so much closer with God.
It's the whole idea that pain doesn't go away, you grow.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing with God beside me really helped.
Yeah.
Because while I was angry at Him, He gave me like someone to lean on as well.
Wow, hey, Life Point fam, can we thank these students for